Hello, today I want to spread awareness about how important sex education among teenagers and the need of sex education to teach in school. Sex education may appear to be a taboo subject to children, but it is an important topic for children to understand so that they understand how their bodies react to hormone, puberty, and menstruation. Some people believe that some lessons do not need to be taught in school to children because they will learn them on their own. But how? While curiosity teenagers' mind may be interested in newborn origin, information obtained from gossip to straightforward online search will not provide teen with accurate knowledge or express it in an ethical and scientific way. But that is exactly what teen needs. Why can't our education institution step in and provide children with the information they actually need to know during puberty when hormones are screaming and minds are racing with questions? When I was in high school, I have no idea how my body worked when puberty hit. I'm not sure why my body feels so tired and angry when I get my first period. I'm looking everywhere on the internet for a reason why I'm acting this way, and I'm getting lost in the information the internet has provided me. Some may accuse me of being too lazy, while others may claim that my uterus does seem to have tumor. Until I confront my teacher and asked about my problem, to which she replied that it is normal for some girls because their hormones are unstable. Young teens need to know about sex education because they are naturally curious about what is going on in their bodies. Furthermore, they can protect themselves from disease such as HIV and know how to have a safe sex when, as we have seen recently, teenagers in Malaysia tend to marry at a young age. My name is Najwa izzaty binti junaidi and my metric number is A182232. Today, I want to talk about why sex education should be taught in school. According to community, sex education has little impact on the prevalence of teen pregnancy. They claim that those who took the virginity oaths broke their promise and had sex 5 years before. They claim that there was a little difference in terms of avoiding having sex between those who took the commitment and those who did not. They believe that the information provided in school was insufficient to assist children or prevent teen pregnancy. However, it has been demonstrated that sex education can lower teen pregnancy and teen birth rate. According to study conducted in California and Ventura County, sex education has first and foremost contributed to a decline in the teen birth rate in United States. According to previous revealed data, the birth rate for women who were adolescents decreased from 36.2 to 34.1 per 1,000 births. The California Department of Public Health reported that in 2008, the rate of teen birth fell from 37.1 per 1,000 in 2007 to 1.9 per 1,000. Second, a CDC researcher named Tricia Muller, who was conduct a research in US in 2015, discovered that sex education is effective in preventing teen pregnancy and delaying the onset of sexual activity. Her team discovered that young boys were 3 times more likely to utilize contraceptive technique than those who did not receive sex education based on a country survey of 2019 teenagers aged from 15 to 19 in 2002. Teens who participate in sex education had a 59% lower risk of having sex before the age of 15 than those who did not, while boys had a 71% lower risk in 2007. Second main point that I want to include is it is crucial to introduce sex education in schools so that teens can obtain the information they require from reliable sources, namely teachers who are knowledgeable about the subject. Teenagers today watch various movies and TV shows that prominently further sex scenes. Even on the internet, when a user clicks on specific link to a website, advertisement with implicit text and image are displayed as a regular sidebar content. Teenagers might have accidentally stumbled upon such web page and learn inaccurate information about sex. Although there is a restriction on showing sex scenes to children under the age of 18, older teenagers can see movies and TV programs that further sex. Teenagers who watch such media are duped by the producer who use sex to sell their productions, since sex scenes are portrayed as casual and innocuous and seem to have no major repercussion. It should be mentioned that sex might be harmful if not done properly, as they have no other way to learn more about the subject and are uncomfortable talking about sex-related matter with their kids. Parents turn to the internet and other questionable media sources. However, other people assert that sex education is inefficient and does not provide teenagers with the necessary information to assist them in making the best choice regarding their sexuality. According to a research by Amy Beckley, who was working in Center for Child Health, Behavior and Development, Seattle Children Research Institute, Seattle, Washington, 26.4% of students felt that the sex education they received was insufficient, and the responsible teacher barely brought up the subject at all. Research has shown that sex education does in fact give teens the information they need and decrease sexual behavior, since the program gives them accurate information. This is due to the fact that because they have not yet had sex education, when teens are told the myth that sex is harmless, their sexual activity increase. Receive the proper education regarding sex might help lower the incidence of HIV, AIDS, and STDs among teenagers. Teenagers can discover that sexual activity is one of the leading causes of STDs. This infection can even be transmitted through oral sex. Teenagers who participate in sexual education classes learn about HIV, AIDS prevention, and the importance of having a partner sexual health check before engaging in any sexual activities. Research shown by World Health Organization in 2019 that teaching students about sexuality and AIDS delays sexual activities and teach students who are already sexually active how to have sex safe. For last point, according to the article by Insight Southern Sexual Misconduct in 2018, many sexual molests young get unreported or escape the government authorities notice because of what has been ruthlessly done to them. They have avoiding confessing to parent or other adult due to misplaced shame, guilt, and fear of being held accountable. This is primarily due to the victims' ignorance about sexual abuse and their legal right to object to it, despite the fact that child sexual abuse has existed through human history. Sexual education has only recently started to take on greater significance. Thus, integrate sex education into school help reduce the prevalence of child sexual abuse while also giving kids and teenagers a path out. Besides that, the availability of sex education can also offer help and guidance to children with learning disability as they go through puberty. Children's sexual abuse is defined as any forced sexual behavior on a minor, whether an adult or a child, according to Delphine Collin, who worked in child and adolescent psychiatry and mental health in California. According to Monroe, adolescents and teenagers are especially susceptible to sexual abuse and frequently experience it in secret. Additionally, they lack a complete knowledge of being taken advantage of because they did not receive any counseling or instruction. Additionally, it renders individuals helpless, leaving them vulnerable to further exploitation. According to WHO data, there are currently 39 million survivors of children sexual abuse in America. By the age of 18, 1 in every 4 female and 1 in every 6 female had experienced sexual abuse. Children and teenagers who participate in sex education receive information on ways to prevent sex abuse, the fact that not all children experience sexual abuse, and the need to get treatment if they have been a victim. It entails a strong awareness of sexual abuse in kids and teenagers. Additionally, there was a program set up in sex education classes where the kids learn how to say no to such unacceptable behavior from the other person. Since children and teenagers would learn about child abuse and sex abuse and be able to reject such offensive upon them, the implementation of sex education in school is practicable. Children and teenagers would be more informed about the state of affairs in today's society and would be prepared to intervene if necessary. Not only that, but those who have been victimized would be able to realize that they are not alone and that many people are prepared to assist them in their situation. Due to several issues with the brain and nervous system, a child with learning problem receives and processes facts and information at slower rate. Kemp, Segal, and Carter, even though they may be different from their peers, adolescents with learning difficulty nevertheless go through growth and puberty. When these kids enter puberty in their teenager life, they need assistance controlling their sex drive, much as they do when they are studying or paying greater attention in classes. However, it looks as though the subject of sex and kids with learning problem was perpetually brushes under the rug and disagree out of concern that it might encourage sex rates. Stephen Simpson, who working in Institution for Global Health and Infectious Disease Department of Medicine, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, asserts that people who struggle with learning are more likely to experience sexual assault. Additionally, there is data demonstrated the urgent need for sex education for kids and teenagers with learning difficulties. According to Lead, who is working in child abuse and neglect prevention, Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a dozen of funding teams, teens with learning difficulties make about 40% of those who commit sexual offenses. John, a young guy with learning handicap, was able to regulate his inappropriate behavior in public, and it gradually diminished, according to Nursing Time. In 2007, this clearly demonstrates that a person with learning disability can control their sex desire based on their environment and what they have been taught, as long as they have received the correct education in sex. Thus, it may be inferred that sex education can assist teenagers with learning difficulties in development, control, and preventing sexual abuse by others. Additionally, they can compress their bodies and sexual inherited better. For the conclusion, to make the best decision for their present and future, adolescents and young people need accurate knowledge on sex and sexual relationships, other relevant topics from reliable sources. They must comprehend the dangers that can result from sex misunderstanding before they can avoid them. Since knowledge truly is power, they will need to gather all the information they could in the current dangerous reality, because they will serve as our future pillar for successive generation. The introduction of sex education in classroom will be able to adequately prepare them. In addition, it is clearly from carefully gathered data and evidence that sex education has numerous positive effects, including a decline in the number of teen pregnancies, the dissemination of accurate and useful information to teenagers, and protection against damage. Lastly, it can be something small like hiring actual experts on the subject so teens get their information from a good sources. The change starts to us. Thank you.